Franchise. 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 Franchise the damn thing.
And now for a brief scene from Alien 3.
Are you attracted to me?
In what way?
In that way.
Very direct.
I've been out here for a long time.
As have I. And scene.
Welcome to Franchise Addicts, a podcast covering every film in a given franchise. My name is Luke.
And I'm Chris.
And this week we are covering the third film in the Alien franchise, aptly named Alien 3.
Or Alien Cubed, if you want to look at how it's written on the poster. 3 times the everything, except the script, I guess. They're not 3 times the writing, but we'll get into that. It's an interesting one. Alien 3.
Chris kind of giving away his feeling on Alien 3. Before we get into Alien 3, I would like to revisit Aliens for just a moment.
Okay, revisit.
So, Chris, I feel like I don't owe Aliens an apology, but I do owe it a proper rating. So I gave Aliens, if you remember from our last pod, a 6.8.
Ooh, yeah.
A low score.
Yeah.
I stand by that for the theatrical version.
Okay.
I was speaking to our good friend Paul this morning about the movie Aliens. I gave him a little bit of spoilers as to what I thought about the movie. And I started discussing the differences between the theatrical version and the special edition. To which Paul said, I've only ever seen the theatrical version once. Anytime I ever watch Aliens, I watch the special edition.
Really?
And he said, so I was describing scenes and he was like, oh yeah, that's the one that I watch all the time.
Wow.
So I feel like I have to rate Aliens based on my small sample of who the fans of Aliens are. And Paul likes Aliens more than Alien. So I have to give Aliens Special Edition a proper rating. I think the theatrical is not great. I did say on the pod that I like the added scenes, and I think they make the movie better. Therefore, I have to give it a better rating.
All right,
I'm going to give Aliens Special Edition a 7.8.
7.8. So a whole point?
A whole point.
Okay.
I think mostly just for the giving backstory on Newt and making the whole trip to the planet seem way more realistic and less rushed.
Yeah, no, it does a good job with all that. The backstory of Ripley and the showing how the alien gets to the colonies is very important. So no, I hear you on that, and I'm glad you came around.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to talk a lot in Alien 3 about the 2 editions of Alien 3 because I think Chris agrees with me that this is one of the most important discussions in Alien 3 is that the theatrical came out, it was not well received. And all Alien fans were waiting for was the director's cut of this film, and they got it, Chris.
Technically, although the director, it cannot be called the director's cut.
Fair, yes.
It has to be called the assembly cut because famously David Fincher wants nothing to do with it. This assembly cut that we will talk about was released in 2003 when the quadrilogy came out, the DVD box set. All of the directors participated in the talkback and special features, except for our man David Fincher. He is quoted as saying, "Nobody hates that movie more than I do."
David, we'll get into it. So let's hit the bona fides for Alien 3. This theatrical version came out in 1992.
May 22nd.
There you go. Chris can finally name a date.
That's right, for sure. Yep.
Its director is David Fincher. Its scriptwriters are David Giler, Walter Hill, who we remember from Aliens, and our guy Larry Ferguson. Welcome to the show, Larry Ferguson.
Also, real sidebar, we'll get into it in the production, but there were so many versions of this script.
Yes, this script is...
Like the Village Bicycle.
Yeah. It got cut, rewrote over and over and over again. It did get one Oscar nom because apparently all Alien films, at least so far, have to be nominated for special effects. This one also got nominated for special effects. It did not win, but it was nominated. Let's just get through these rankings really quick here. Bad. IMDb 6.4. In my opinion, anything under a 7 in IMDb usually means it's a movie to skip. There are some exceptions we'll get into if I think this is one. Rotten Tomatoes 48%.
Not good.
Not good. It had a budget of $50 million. Domestically brought in $55 million, broke even, but worldwide did very well, over $150 million worldwide.
Absolutely. Real quick, the reason that I know the May 22nd release date is infamously this movie was launched into the production without a script or anything. They had a release date for it, and that was it. And this is one of those examples in movie making where you start filming a movie without a completed script, and we're going to see exactly how that goes today.
So, before we get into the scene-by-scene breakdown, which we are not going to do as in-depth as we did for Alien and Aliens, those are, pretty solid scripts all the way through from a movie-making perspective.
Yeah.
They are worthy of revisiting scene-by-scene. This movie isn't that, and I think the main discussion behind this movie is what went right, what went wrong, do we like it, do we not like it? So let's just start off at the top here. Let's put all of our cards on the table before we get into parts of scenes that we like, different things that we like about this movie and things we don't like. Chris, overall, does Alien 3 work for you, and do you like it?
Okay, so backstory a little bit. This was my first actual exposure to the Alien franchise. It came out in 1992, as we just said. I was but an 8-year-old boy, but I was still plugged into pop culture at that time, and I think I saw it for the first time on HBO or on something on television or something, and there are aspects about it, like glimpses, little scenes here and there, that I thought were really cool. And the idea of the xenomorph and all of that was very intriguing to me. I went on to watch the other ones, and they were really good. After actually sitting down and watching this, it does not work for me. There are some really good ideas. This is just to me, the most interesting part of Alien 3 is the story behind the production and why it didn't work, and the great talented people that were involved and all of that. It's very, very, very interesting to me. The movie itself is not very interesting to me. It does not work for me. How about you, Luke?
Chris, I do not like this movie.
The Bambi Burster didn't do it for you.
I love this movie.
What?
I think this movie absolutely rips.
What?
I think it's good. I obviously can listen to criticism about it. There are some things about it that aren't quite great, but
awesome.
Like my criticisms with Aliens, being that it went away from the tonality and kind of the character work that's in Alien, I think Alien 3 succeeds where Aliens does not in those areas. I think there's just phenomenal acting in this movie. There's no over the top. I mean, there's a couple over the top stuff, but the main characters in this movie are rock solid. I think Sigourney Weaver's better in this movie than she is in Aliens. I think she's an absolute stone cold rock star in this movie. She does the work that she does back in Alien without, having to have a ton of dialogue, not having to do, as much of the shoot 'em up type stuff that's in Aliens. It's just pitch perfect in Alien 3. She must have read the script and been like, I can work with this, even if it wasn't that great. because she absolutely nails it. I think Charles Dance is unbelievable as Clemens. I think the other British actors that they bring in to be the prisoners are great.
They're all British.
They're all British.
It's like Alien on PBS on a Sunday night.
I think the setting in this prison planet is amazing. This is Fincher at his Fincheriest, like just throwing stuff in the background that doesn't matter, but it's in the right spot. I think the lighting is unbelievable. The Dutch angles that he's shooting a lot of the dialogue scenes that make it way more interesting than probably the dialogue deserves to have interest in it. And I don't care, David Fincher, if you think this is something that you hate more than anyone else. This is a David Fincher movie. I love David Fincher, and this deserves to be a part of his filmography and talked about as something that he got to build on to greater effect in later movies. But this movie, in no way, shape, or form, is bad, David. This movie is great.
Okay, I just got to pick my jaw up off the floor, and okay, I've done that. I'm excited to talk about it. There's things I like, but ultimately there's things that just, that I don't ultimately think work. But let's get into it. I think this will be a great conversation. Definitely excited to do this now. It would, probably be more of a boring situation if we were all talking about how we don't like it. And I'll be honest, I listen to podcasts. I've listened to Alien 3 podcasts, and that's how they mostly are. Most people just all don't like it. But before we get into the actual movie, I think, to me, as I said before, the production and what went wrong production-wise is really, really fascinating to me. So, all right, let's start with, so Aliens, it's a success. Fox greenlights Alien 3 pretty early on after the release. They want it to happen. They're worried they can't get Sigourney Weaver right away. So the first draft of the script is written by a guy named David Gibson, who is a very, important figure in the world of cyberspace. People say he created the ideas for things like The Matrix. He coined the term cyberspace. He wrote a script. It's actually an allegory for the Cold War. They were going to do a third and fourth movie, shoot them together, kind of Lord of the Rings style. And Hicks was going to be the lead in the third movie, and Sigourney Weaver was going to come in the fourth. There's actually a comic book you can read that has this story where I believe like Bishop gets picked up by like a communist space station while Ripley and Newt and Hicks are like on the American side. And I don't know. That's a thing that happened, but for many reasons, Fox did not want to do this. They needed to get Sigourney Weaver. They got her by giving her $5 million up front, also a lot of back-end action. You said that she must, you made a comment, Luke, that she must have liked the script. She had a heavy say in what was happening in the script. That's why there's no guns. She didn't like guns. That's the reason that planet, the planet Fury, has no guns. They wanted someone to direct it. They eventually wanted Vincent Ward to write the script and direct it. He was not a very well-known director at the time, but he wrote the script. He had the idea originally for a wooden planet, and anyone that knows about the lore about this movie knows about the wooden planet that was run by monks. And so a lot of the original, he's given a story credit. It says in the credits, story by Vincent Ward. Obviously, they changed it up quite a bit. He ultimately didn't work on the final script, but what the final script itself, that's kind of almost an oxymoron in this movie. The Ward script has some really interesting ideas about the wooden planet run by monks where they see the crashing ship in the sky. They think it's the Angel of Death. and a lot of biblical allegories, some of which make it into the actual script, the finished script. But anyways, so that's Vincent Ward. Finally, they need someone to direct it. They find this up-and-comer David Fincher. Now, Luke, do you know what David Fincher was doing prior to directing Alien 3?
I believe he was doing music videos.
He was doing music videos and commercials. He famously did a video for the American Cancer Society where a fetus was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
That's
a fantastic commercial.
It was a big deal. It was controversial. And then he went into music videos. He directed the music video for Vogue by Madonna, Straight Up by Paula Abdul, Janie's Got a Gun. He was the music video guy in the 80s to work with, and then he got this. And the studios, as far as I understand, thought, you know what, this is a guy, he's going to be grateful that we gave him this opportunity. He's going to be a company man. He's going to be easy to work with. This guy is no James Cameron, because they just worked with James Cameron, who we didn't talk a lot about the production notes for Aliens, but they did not like what James Cameron was doing. But James Cameron, being his most James Cameron, said, screw it, you don't know what's good for you, I'm doing this anyways. And he did. So they didn't want to have that again. So they hired David Fincher, and luckily David Fincher, definitely went with the flow, didn't like to do tons of takes over and over, wasn't meticulous. Oh wait, I think he was.
That's David.
And so of course, lots of issues occurred. Some of the minor things, some interesting stories. So Michael Biehn, who was Michael Biehn playing? You remember that when we last talked? Who was Michael Biehn, Luke?
That would be the Marine that Ripley falls in love with.
Yes, Corporal Hicks.
He
was really pissed when he found out that he was written out of the script.
Dead.
He was
arrival.
Dead. And they asked him, they said, hey, we want to use your likeness. We want to create a dummy that looks like you. And he said, screw you. You can't do it. They said, we'll pay you. He said, no, I don't want it. And finally they said, hey, buddy, okay, we've got another idea. We need to use like a computer-generated image of your face when we have the screen that says, Corporal Hicks, dead. Can we do that? And he said, all right, you can pay me. So he famously said that he made just as much money on Alien 3 as he did in Aliens. So say what you will about that. He also said that he was later regretted how much of an asshole he was when he found out who David Fincher went on to be. So there's that story. Interesting. H.R. Geiger is back.
He's credited.
He made a new version of the alien, the Bambi Burster, as it's called, the alien that comes from either a dog or an ox, walks on all fours. That was a brand new Geiger. That was a Geiger original that he did for this. So that's interesting. He's been brought back after he didn't really do much of anything on the prior film. And lastly, Fincher. He's known for multiple takes, right?
Yeah, the man is a perfectionist.
And he was a perfectionist when it came to the chest burster scenes. So much so, he used real guts. They were animal guts, but he used real guts. And he did take after take after take to the point where apparently it smelled like rotting guts, because there actually was on set. So
deal with it. They look good.
They do look good. I love to geek out on the production of this movie because I think it's very interesting. There's lots more that's written about this that you can find, and so let's get into the actual film.
All right, Chris, we've now crash landed onto Fiorina Fury 161, a Class C prison unit. Did you remember to shave your head? Because there is a flea problem on this planet.
It's really bad lice, I think.
Is it lice, not
yes.
fleas?
And they are gnarly. You get to see them more in the assembly cut, but they are some bad lice.
So yeah, we're shaved heads down on the island. Ripley has crash landed with the rest of her crew, broken off from the Sulaco, and crash landed onto this prison planet. Fiorina 161, also known as Fury. That's what it'll be called for the rest of the movie. So basically, Chris, up until the funeral of the other people that were a part of, or yeah, with Ripley on the spacecraft, I got a couple thoughts. I was a little disappointed that there was no innovation to the title card.
Yeah.
It's basically just your standard boilerplate, like, here are the names of the actors that are in this movie. Here's an Alien 3. There's a lot of cutting back and forth. It's kind of jumbled. It doesn't look particularly good. I think the models of the shots of the planet kind of look bad.
It's doing a lot, though, in the opening sequence. That's maybe why there couldn't be such a cool intro to the title, because essentially, right, like in that title sequence, they show you what's happened to the crew.
Exactly. And we find out that Newt is dead, Hicks is dead, Ripley alive still, and my favorite, Bishop, negative capabilities.
Negative capabilities. Yeah.
I mean, if I could be, listed as that in a whether I'm alive or dead, he's not alive or dead. He just has negative capabilities.
Don't we all?
I mean, unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
We get introduced immediately to Charles Dance, who plays Clemens, who kind of brings Ripley he teaches her the rules of the planet, basically. It's a planet filled with 25 men who are prisoners. Charles Dance is the doctor. He's not technically a criminal, but we find out later he is, in fact, has been a criminal, but he served his sentence and decided to stay on.
But they keep that a big, dark secret. Way over the top of a secret. I can't tell you. I can't tell you my crimes. And they're not ultimately
He's blowing it out of proportion. This is not bad. I think it's great dialogue between the two as they parry back and forth about who's not telling who stuff, because Ripley is keeping the secret about what she fears has joined her on this planet. Clemens is also keeping a secret that he was, in fact, an inmate at one point, and then why he was an inmate, basically.
So why do you think Ripley doesn't want to tell him about the aliens?
I mean, this is one of those plot contrivances that, we kind of exists in all three of these Alien movies so far, as like Ripley for some reason doesn't want to. I mean, I suppose in Aliens she kind of just gives the full detail, but nobody believes.
She's screaming about it in the boardroom.
Nobody believes in her, so it does make sense in Alien 3 that she holds back and goes like, "No one's gonna believe me if I just like scream about this again."
Sure.
So maybe it's not. I mean, and two. This is worst case scenario, basically, what ends up happening in this movie. She, at the end of Aliens, should presume that this has all been taken care of, and they should be very easily be going back to, safety. And to then crash land, have everyone with her be dead, and then to have this sinking feeling of like, I saw some markings on Newt's cryosleep container. This doesn't look good.
It's a bold move. Whether it's Fincher, the script writers, or whomever, we leave Aliens in '86 and it's triumphant, and there's this wonderful mother-daughter relationship, and everyone's happy. And within the first 5 minutes, they kill all those people except Ripley, and they're on a dark, kind of really bummer of a prison planet. I mean, they really punch you in the gut right away.
What did I say in Aliens, though, Chris? Get rid of all those characters. I don't really need them. Obviously, they have to kind of be there in Aliens for the movie, but so from a new Alien watcher's perspective, like these three movies, I don't really care about the characters in Aliens. The characters in Alien are dead. The characters in Aliens, there are some that go off the ship with Ripley, but I don't care about them. So I love the fact that they're just like, get rid of them. Don't need them. All we need is Ripley. She's the main driving force of this whole thing. We bring the two characters that matter most in this movie. We bring the alien, and we bring Ripley. That's all we need.
I think it starts this theme this movie has of just nihilism.
Maybe, but I mean, this is also just one of the most rock solid elevator pitch ideas of all time for like a continuation. Like, you could just take Alien and Aliens as a whole kind of 2-movie block, just block them off. This third movie has to be pitched, and it has to be pitched well. And I love prison movies. And to just be like, what if we put an alien in the prison and it just started killing all of these murderers and rapists? Could I get you to care about these people as they were being ripped apart? And the answer is yes.
Some.
I think for the most part, yes. Because Ripley does an incredible job of still caring about these horrible criminals because she cares about what this alien is going to do to all of humanity. She doesn't have any, like, misgivings about, like, oh, you know, this person's bad, so it doesn't really matter if the alien kills them or not. She cares about every single person that this alien is and will attack forever.
I don't think she cares about some of those people. She tries to get there's a big scene where a bunch of the guys try to rape her, and then
it is taken care of in the extended version of this film. There is a scene in which one of those people, Junior, our guy from
Junior,
yeah, Junior, but he's the cop from the David Fincher series about serial killers. Mindhunter. He's one of the cops.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So
I place him now, yes.
Yeah. So he's, I mean, a Fincher guy. But yeah, terrible scene. The rape, molesting scene. Like, really, really bad. But there's a scene in the extended version where that person is on fire and Ripley puts out the fire that's on him after the explosion and basically is like, we're all in this together. Like, you guys tried to do something terrible to me. It's all good. We have a common goal. We need to get rid of this alien.
This is true. I think in a common criticism is that they are a bunch of bald white guys. You start to not be able to keep track of who's who. Maybe the main characters, maybe the main few guys, Charles Dutton, Charles Dance, are memorable. But there are definitely people that show up towards the end of the movie that I'm like, I've never seen this guy before. Or have I? I don't know.
And my argument back to that would be, it does not matter. For the most part, unless they are like a speaking main character that is leading people in any way, the inability to know the names of the prisoners doesn't matter because they're supposed to just be a conglomerate of terrible people.
Yes, and so I don't care about them.
Yeah, but I think as a whole, like if you just take them, like if you just made them one character, like the prisoners, I think the prisoners as a character is a good character.
Okay. I think some of them are. Let's talk more about them as we go through it. I think that would be, I think there's going to be some agree to disagrees here.
Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about in the beginning of this movie. So we talked about how Clemens is basically given Ripley the lowdown as to how things work on this planet. Mm-hmm. I think all of the dialogue between Charles Dance and Sigourney Weaver is unbelievable. These are two top-tier actors parrying back and forth. I think we opened the show with a dialogue scene. It's goofy, it's silly, but they sell it because they're incredible actors and probably because Fincher made them take it over and over and over again until it was exactly the right tone for this movie.
Yeah, no, they're both great. Charles Dance is wonderful in this. I also, the scene in the beginning of this podcast was silly, except for my accent of Charles Dance. That was very, very serious and good. But Yeah, no, their dialogue is great. It's sad and also a little weird that he dies so early on.
I think it's great. It's completely out of nowhere. It's a really good death scene. The alien coming from behind the tarp looks ominous. It looks scary. It comes out of nowhere. In the assembly version, there's way better cutting back and forth that kind of rounds that scene out, I think, better and adds more suspense to it. In the theatrical, it's a little cut out. It's not as good as it can be in the assembly. I think it corrects that and should have been something that was added to the theatrical, but it probably added another, 2 minutes to the movie, and the production team was like, yeah, let's get that out of there. I want to go to the autopsy scene of Newt. So like we said, Ripley had seen some markings on the cryo chamber that Newt is in. She finds out that Newt's dead. She wants to inspect the body because she is worried that Newt has been facehuggered, essentially. So she wants Charles Dance to do a full autopsy because basically he's just like, she drowned in her cryo chamber. That's how she died. I didn't have to do anything else to her. It seemed pretty evident.
Ergo, she drowned.
Exactly. And this scene is so stinking Fincher in every bit. It is serial killer vibes.
Sure, it's
Dance
creepy.
is looking like kind of a crazed maniac. He's got crazy tools. That saw that he ends up cutting her chest open with is gnarly. The blood splatter, the dialogue scene that is in the assembly version that is not in the theatrical, in which Clemens says to Ripley, "Is she your daughter?" Mm-hmm. And Ripley says, "No," is packed with so much meaning because it's a callback to Aliens when we find out in the special edition that she loses her daughter. Newt essentially becomes her daughter in Aliens. So this question in itself is like the full encapsulation of how Ripley is dealing with the fact that Newt died. She couldn't take care of her. Tragic, just a tragic moment. So does she lie and say, yes, she's my daughter, to like give the full impact? Because she could very well and like fully explain to Clemens like how devastating this is to her that this is happening. She doesn't. She pulls back and has to unbelievably wear it on her face how terrible this is that she didn't get the chance to make this girl her daughter. Because that was the plan. They were going to go back to safety. She probably was going to adopt her. They would have lived their life out together. And that is all gone. And Sigourney has to wear that on her face. And I think going into the rest of this scene, just unbelievable back and forth by these two.
Yeah, it's really good. A couple of notes I'll just have on the autopsy scene. Again, I think this movie wants to hit with horror quick, and it does a good job of that. I actually would say I like the first half of this movie more than the end. There was supposedly an autopsy scene, the original cut that is not available anywhere, was much more gory and had people really disturbed. So that's one thing. I think that it's good. I mean, again, a lot of the stuff with her and Dance is good. It's quality, and he's great. He's doing exactly what's needed for the scenes, and she's great. She's not afraid to be, ugly, for lack of a better term, with that one red eye. And I mean, she's looking, she's tough. And again, Sigourney Weaver and the Ripley character that we know that fits, right? She's kind of just badass. She's not there because she's a pretty leading actress, although she is a very pretty woman. Doesn't matter. And so that's great. I love all of that. The sets also, I'll just really quickly want to mention, and we'll talk about them throughout, but the sets are pretty awesome.
So I kind of criticized the opening stuff. I think a lot of that was done post-production thrown in. There's a lot of stuff with the special effects in this movie and then into the assembly cut that had to either be corrected, never was corrected, still looks very bad. I put a note. I put a note that there are some of shots of the alien that look like Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, we should get it. That's a whole thing. That's a horrible gripe.
But you are 100% right. The sets in this, I talked about it before with Fincher. This is what he's known for. There is dialogue happening in front of the camera, but if you watch any Fincher movie, look at the background, look at what is happening in the background. Because this man is a perfectionist, he has the best eye in the business for what's going on behind what the camera is initially focusing on. Everything has to be perfect. It looks great. This autopsy scene, everything about it, it's lit unbelievably well. And I said that Fincher thrives in the inhumane. This is an extremely inhumane scene that they have to do on a beloved character from the last movie. And it is treated in a pitch perfect way for this movie from the horror perspective.
Absolutely. It's really great. The sets we'll continue to see. They're really good. More production. They were all actually practically made in Pinewood Studios in London. So those are all real sets. Pretty cool. And a lot of work went into them. Also, Fincher was given about zero control over the script. He was not given much control at all, but he was given, complete control over the sets and over the looks and over the visuals. And obviously that really, really, really shows. Also, the last thing to bring up before we move on is the score, because I think the score is great.
Score is great.
Yeah, so I'm going to look who did that again. Oh, so it's Elliot Goldenthal. And yeah, I mean, it's a really cool score. So shout out to the score, shout out to the sets and Charles Dance and Sigourney Weaver's chemistry. All that is working. And, we wanted to go up until the funeral scene. Right?
Sure. I want, because I'm never going to be able to get off of Dance. And he's out of this movie soon, so you're just going to have to bear with me. It's either him, I think it's largely him, that is selling probably mediocre dialogue at best. But there are some line readings that do the perfect job of him being a extremely well-trained doctor, but also under the surface being like, yeah, Ripley, I'm into you. And so like the scene where he like first gives her the injection, she doesn't have any clothes on, and he's basically like, the men here haven't seen a woman in years. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And he's like,
neither have I.
Neither have I.
Boing.
And it's like, yeah, he's given her the upfront, like, this is not a great place for a woman. I'm trying to, like, be the cool doctor and, like, yeah, I've seen the naked female lady before, but
he is rock hard.
And Auga. It's great. So we get to the funeral scene. I think this is also a fantastic scene.
It is.
And Charles Dutton, we get to him, Dylan, another just superstar in this movie. He absolutely kills this scene. And then we get the cut back and forth from them dropping the bodies of Ripley's lost compatriots with the alien in the dog.
Or the ox, whichever. And so, yeah, for those that don't know, in the assembly cut, it's an ox. In the theatrical version, it's a dog. But the cuts work the same way. And we get Dylan. He does a lot of praying aloud in this movie.
Especially in the assembly cut, where they do not cut any of the praying scenes.
Yeah, the praying scenes got to be a little much for me. But this is great. This is good. This is good.
And this goes back to the writer of the book, or the thing that got credited for part of this story, which was that this was supposed to be a monastery.
Yeah.
These 25 criminals in the last 5 years have fully embraced this post-apocalyptic Christian like ethos, and Dylan, though he's not like the leader of them, is the spiritual leader of these guys. And so when he talks, especially when he's praying, everyone's in line.
I love the darkness. So, this was 92. I feel like, the set, like this could have been a Nine Inch Nails video. And the set is so dark. Everything that's happening is so dark. We cut open Newt, all the characters we love from the 80s. I mean, this almost does, this takes the Michael Jackson from the 80s, and this is like, here's grunge music, motherfucker. And it's dark. And you've got this praying that's ominous praying and talking about new life. And as they say new life, the chest burster comes out. And it's coming out of an animal. This is savage. This is worse, and especially with the dog, for some people, worse than a human maybe. And it's really fucked up. Like, this whole scene is really fucked up, and I like it.
It's unbelievable. The like bile bursting scene is so cool. The shot away from the dog from the alien perspective. So it turns out that they wanted the full like chest coming out of the dog and have the alien like basically run off like a dog into the prison. It looked terrible. They actually strapped alien like costume onto an actual dog, and it still looked bad.
Apparently you can find that on YouTube.
Yeah, I watched it. It does look really bad. So Fincher's just like, what if we don't show it at all and the camera becomes the alien? And it looks good.
Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about all the...
It looks good, Chris.
Some of that POV stuff, it's all right. The POV alien, I don't know. I'm conflicted, because all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is what the alien sees, guys. Like, it takes me out of it, but...
It's inventive for something that, like, just wasn't working. And it makes the best out of, like, crap.
Yeah, and and that's the big problem with Alien 3, is anytime that they want to show the alien move, they use the small puppet and rotoscope it in, and it looks horrible.
It does look bad in those instances, but where the person wearing the costume...
that's badass. That's good.
...looks really good.
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree. It's just a shame, because it looks worse than Aliens in 1986. I mean, it just... Because you can tell... It looks like it's almost like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when cartoons are mixed with humans, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a cartoon. You can tell that the alien, when it's moving around, is just, it's not there. It takes me out of it. Oh, I hate it. But so anyways, we'll get to that, but essentially that's it. It was a puppet that was a lot smaller, and they shot it against a blue screen or whatever, and then they put it in, they put it into the actual scene. The lighting is off on it, you can just tell. And also the sound. So this thing is like a dog alien, and there are multiple times where it's just kind of like killing somebody. Like, it's like almost like chewing them up. And there's like very little to no sound. That once or twice, it's almost like they forgot to put in the audio. And it's horrible, because, I mean, again, like we're already talking about, there's cool shit happening. This is a major Fox motion picture. You got some real shit happening here. And then we have that. This is also the same year, right at this time, there's another movie being produced. You might have heard of it, Jurassic Park. So if we're thinking about special effects...
You can't do that.
But it's true!
Jurassic Park is special.
Yes.
It was so ahead of its time. There are movies late into the 90s that don't look better than Jurassic Park. Sure. That is not a fault of Fincher in this movie, that it doesn't look as good as Jurassic Park.
No. It's not his fault, and it's just unfortunate because, we don't need it to look like Jurassic Park, but just if it looked... Even if they're like, all right, the puppet thing isn't working, guys, let's do something else. if they had to hide it more. I just, whenever they see it and it looks like, I mean, maybe, I don't know, but no, actually I do know. In 92, when the reviews came out, they were all very critical of the special effects. Yes, they won an Oscar. That's crazy.
They were nominated.
They were nominated.
They were required to be nominated.
But even at the time, even at the time, people were like, "Oh man, that didn't look very good." So okay, so that's a gripe about the special effects. All
right, we're moving forward.
Let's do it.
So we've got some more prison life after the funeral. Ripley meets the prison warden Andrews, his assistant Aaron. Like we said, the alien has emerged and is now wandering through the prison. We get the first death from the alien, that is Murphy, who dies in one of the air vents. He is lured because he thinks it's the dog. He then falls back and gets mutilated by a fan. Ripley then has an idea to go basically turn back on Bishop, or at least what remains of Bishop, and fully confirm whether or not an alien was aboard and is now on the planet, because she still doesn't know that yet. And then the alien just starts attacking other prisoners. Ripley has to take charge and come up with a plan for what they're going to do with the alien that is now in the prison.
Yeah, the fan death scene, the first one, is pretty cool.
So, Chris, I did want to ask you, because you're the music man on this pod, what did you think of the "In the year 75020, the gods are coming"?
I didn't love it. I was like, is this getting into more of the religious horror vibe that we're trying to get? I don't know.
That guy Murph he just wanted to be a rock star, man.
He did. I can't fault him for that. It's a cool scene. Like, I think, obviously something that has got to come to everybody's mind when they're watching this is Seven, the next Fincher movie, which would be very successful and has that really gritty, grimy feel, which is definitely, everything is brown. But it's cool. It's a cool death scene. Yeah, and then there's some other deaths that do occur. Where are we? Let
me get through a couple other things that I like from this section. Again, the camera angles are really, I call them clever. Like Chris said, the lighting is harsh, but it fits the scenery around it really well.
Camera's pointed up a lot.
Those are Dutch angles, my friend.
All right, yes.
There's the scene that we alluded to earlier, the rape scene. This is a tough look for this movie, but
realistic.
Also makes sense in the world that we are currently set in. We get a nice Dylan scene here, who before you're like, what's kind of going on with this guy? Because he makes mention that, we're all rapists and killers here. You better watch out, basically.
He is a murderer and rapist of women.
It's a great line reading.
He makes that very clear. He cannot stop talking about murder and rape, that guy. He's cool and he's a religious one. Loves mentioning that he's a murderer and rapist of women.
But he comes through in the clutch.
He does.
When the actions of Junior and his cohorts, they just can't hold it back anymore. They gotta get them some woman.
Did you see that? When that happens, I think this might be assembly cut, but before the guys start his sexual assault, he puts on pilot glasses, and there's like rock star music in the background.
That's in the theatrical version.
It's horrible. What in the fuck is that about? Let me put on these cool shades before I start the rape, and in the background it's like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is any of that? Cool. Yes. Then Dylan comes in and he kicks the guy's ass, and they don't know. They need to learn something. Great. Fine. And it's fine. They wanted to address that these guys are all rapists, so it would be weird if we didn't have anything like that happening, I guess was their logic.
Yeah. I'm going to quickly pass. I love this movie, so I'm going to pass over that part. I don't have anything to say. Also a great Dylan line, gotta re-educate some brothers.
Oh yeah.
As Ripley dips out and he just starts pole smashing these dudes.
Dylan often comes off like a motivational speaker from the Scared Straight program.
Yeah, I mean, Scared Straight, perfect. Boggs and Rains, who are two inmates that, again, like Chris said, you know, relatively nameless, faceless guys, but that's their names. One of them's black. Gets killed in the air shaft searching for what killed Murphy. Basically, they were also looking for supplies, I believe, in the assembly version. That's more clarified. And Golick, who gets a whole subplot in the assembly version, is basically... He's with these two, Boggs and Rains, when they get killed by the alien. He comes running back, and everyone thinks because this Golick guy is a murderer in a past life, that this guy has just gone absolutely nuts. So he's the one killing everybody. They put him in a straitjacket, get him to the infirmary. But in the assembly cut, this is a humongous character.
Yeah, he is crazy though. To be, he's very, very crazy.
Absolutely, and he is in the assembly cut too. That just is more drawn out. So I'll give the breakdown of the assembly cut. Chris, jump in if I miss anything. So Golick, after Boggs and Rains gets killed, is found back in the mess hall area, just slamming some cereal. He's got blood all over his face, and is just going on about the alien and, you know, crazy talk, basically.
The
like
dragon.
Religious
stuff.
Imagery, all that sort of stuff. He clearly has a connection with this beast. And so that's when they are like, all right, this Golick guy, he's lost it. He gets put in that straitjacket. He gets put in the infirmary. He ends up, and we'll get to this in the later scene, the alien is captured behind iron doors at one point. Golick, because he is obsessed with the alien, believes that he has to free the alien and basically allow it to do its work, and he's its servant. So he is the one that releases the alien from behind the doors, and the alien is then back on the loose. In the theatrical version, none of that happens.
No, he's just kind of hanging out in the hospital during the romance turned awry scene. You got it, and that's the subplot that for Golick. About the first, or the two guys dying. Things that I want to just comment on that is, first of all, there is no reaction by Clemens where the radio comes in and they says, "We got a real bad situation. Prisoners have been diced up." And he's like, "I'll be right there." Which is like, okay, is that normal for you? But, you know, whatever. And then, yes, everyone is British. Everyone is British. And that's not explained. But they're good. They are good, but it's also like, why are they all British? But
why can't they all be British?
I suppose they can. It reminded me when my mom used to force me to watch PBS on Sunday nights, so it was a little triggering. But okay, so what? They're all the candle thing. I didn't like it. I mean, it was just like it was boring for me. So they're like all lighting candles because they don't have batteries for flashlights. And they don't have basically any other thing for lights. So they're like, hey guys, great idea. We're going to go down these tunnels. Now this movie has, if you like white bald guys getting chased down grimy tunnels, this is the movie for you because so much of that happens. There's probably 30 minutes of dudes just being chased down these tunnels. Famously, the set, they ran out of money or something like that. So they basically had these tunnels, and that's all they had for the set as far as like the interiors of the ship. So Fincher just had to shoot it different ways, but that's what they had. And then again, the sets always look good. They do. The alien, when it kills those two people, the blood on the alien looks awesome. So again, a very bloody horror-like feeling, you know, which we did get away from in Alien. So it's definitely going back to those horror roots. So, and then, you know, are we to think that the alien is blowing out the candles and that's what starts the hullabaloo?
It's the wind. The wind is blowing out the candles. It's very simple, Chris.
And then also, really quick, because we talked about the bishop, when Bishop gets turned back on again, right? Really just have to... He comes right out of the gate with 3 jokes, which is great.
Dude, Bishop is unbelievable.
He's doing like a tight 5.
My MVP.
He gets turned on and goes, I don't know, my legs...
Not my MVP, my scene-stealing performance.
he gets turned on. I don't know, my legs hurt. hey, take my wife, please. I don't know, everybody. Hey,
Are you doing Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah, that's what he is. He may as well reanimate a bishop. What else does he say? He goes, hey, Ripley, nice haircuts. Like, he's got all these jokes. And it's like, is that what Bishop is? He's just coming out as, they're like, use the grimy part of an android. That'll be comic relief. Also,
no, Chris.
He does do
this
3
is
jokes in a row.
This is a callback to Alien when they turn Ash back on. This is it looks way better because we talked about that in Alien, how you can just see that it's basically a mask that then all of a sudden becomes Ian Holmes' head.
You want to know why it looks so good?
Why?
Because during the troubled production, the set designers were told to stop doing anything on the set while they worked on... Because they didn't know what they were doing with the script. So they had a summer to create that prosthetic bishop.
Hell of a job.
No, it's awesome. It looks great. But that's a fact as to why it looks so great, because they had a lot of time to work on it.
This scene is good. It's really good. I mean... Again, it's all rests on the acting performances of Sigourney Weaver and our guy
Lance Hendrickson.
I just thought doing what they can.
I thought that he coming out with 3 jokes was interesting.
So, Chris is overselling the joke part. It is way more deadpan and definitely not played for laughs at all. He is an android. He is just simply stating a fact that his legs hurt.
Ripley.
Bishop. How are you feeling?
My legs hurt.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just a glorified toaster. How are you? Oh, I like your new haircut.
If we are comparing it to the Ash, when Ash is turned on, that's an awesome scene.
This is an awesome scene.
It's. I feel like it's a way to get information. We're gonna have some honest heart opinions here. I don't think it's great. I think that the android looks great, looks awesome. But they turn him on. He says a couple of kind of cute lines, and then he delivers information. So it's an information delivery system. That's fine. But that's it. Like, she's like, hey, Bill, was there an alien on the ship? Yes. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's just, if you're the Ash plugged in, it's fucking iconic, as much as I will overuse that word.
Sure.
This one, anyways, I just had...
All right, so
okay, we'll move on.
We'll move on from what you don't think works between 2 actors. I'm going to move to a scene that does, again, work between 2 actors, Charles Dance being included. Talking to Andrews, Brian Glover, who's basically just dressing down Clemens and just ripping him for basically not getting enough information out of Ripley, basically failing on that end. That is intercut kind of between then Dance's eventual demise. We also learn Dance's backstory as to why he found himself on this planet. Do you want to get into that?
Well, yeah. Well, I feel like so the only thing I have to say about the scene with the jailer, I forgot his name, the bad lieutenant guy.
Andrews.
Yeah, you just said it. And Dance is that, like, I don't know, like, he's super pissed. He's like, I hate you, Charles Dance. And it's like, why? Like, it's just, like, it's a little, like, I didn't necessarily buy the motivation of why he's just like, I hate you so much, you're a piece of shit, is what he literally says to start to seem like, why is he so fucking angry?
I think it's because of what we're going to get into in this backstory. I think that Clemens has, since his 6 years were up, has been acting like he's, part of the crew, part of the ship. And I think Andrews still looks down at him as a dirty, rotten scoundrel.
And that's totally fair. So you just answered my question. So then let's move on to, because I think this is a big scene. It starts with the romance between Clemens and Ripley, and it ends with the alien. So let's, because I have a few things to say about it. Let's do it.
All right, so Clemens gets into, because Ripley finally breaks him down and is like, hey, you keep on bringing this thing up and say you'll tell me later as to why you have the bars on the back of your head just like the other inmates. So you had to have been an inmate at some point. Clemens gets into the fact that he was like one of the best medical students of all time, for his time at least, and also was a morphine addict. Mm-hmm. He tragically, one night, after 36 hours of being in the ER, heroically helping people, decides to go on a little bit of a bender and drinks himself full, and a tragic accident happens that brings a bunch of people to his hospital. He gets called in, and he ends up prescribing them the wrong amount of painkillers for the people and kills 11 people that should not have died as a result of him misprescribing.
Probably giving them too much, I would imagine.
No, he said
the only way to do it.
He straight out says that he gave them the wrong dosage.
Yep.
And so for this, he is sentenced to 6 years on this base. After his 6th year, basically the company or whoever runs this prison planet is like, we're terminating this thing. We're not going to be using it as a prison base anymore. Essentially, if you're here and you still have your sentence, you're stuck here, you can stay here. And then we'll, basically keep a couple administrators here to just make sure that this doesn't go totally rogue. So the 25 people, the inmates end up staying. Because of their religious affiliations, it essentially turns into a monastery of sorts. They still are doing the methane production or whatever is going on loosely. The company has stopped giving any money to them, so they're basically just working with scraps and whatever they can. But again, this is mostly just a religious experience for most of these guys. Dance, because of the guilt that he has over what he did, decides that even though he could have left the planet because his sentence was up, decides to stay on as an administrator, the doctor, for them there. And I think that's so powerful for his character that he is so guilty that he stays basically being an inmate even though he's not technically anymore.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he feels bad for...
Yeah, no, he's good.
And the 6 years at the prison planet helped him kick his morphine addiction.
At least it got me off the morphine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not really how he sounds, but no. So he's a good dude, and I mean he acts incredibly well. And their back and forth is very good. A
great line after, because he's been giving Ripley these like booster shots basically to help her keep from having the sickness for how violently she was brought out of the cryo sleep. And he gives her that whole story and basically just says, after hearing all that, do you still trust me with a needle?
He sure does. He's a smooth goddamn operator. He knows. He's just got done banging Ripley, because we didn't mention that, but they do bang. That is the thing. Off screen, but yeah, they're like, oh, I've fraternized with a prisoner. Even though
this movie is a hard R, they're like, no sex.
Nope. This is very...
Also, I'm pretty sure Fincher, like, historically doesn't like sex in his movies. He has sexy movies, but he does not like the lovemaking.
No sex for Fincher. That's a whole repressed thing we can maybe get into. But another time. Okay, so get ready to get mad at me again. This scene. This is a big scene. It's a big scene in a movie that doesn't have a lot of scenes. That does, in my opinion, fall victim to a lot of the chasing through tunnels, which kind of gets a little like, oh, this again. But anyways, not what I'm talking about. This is an important scene, and it ends the scene ends with an incredibly iconic shot. We'll talk about that. There's a lot of things, but tonally, I think this scene is fucking weird. And I asked myself, what is the tone? At first, they are having this kind of romantic exchange. Then at a certain time, and it's like the score even swells at a point that seems a little strange. We start to get cuts over to Gallic, who at first doesn't see anything, then he sees. The tone is just weird, and my first thought was like, does this have a tone? But it's, I don't know. Those were my notes from that scene, is that I thought it was just tonally weird.
Chris, I have spit out my original Zin that I put in before this podcast in disgust. So again, I talked about it earlier. I think this is a scene that the assembly cut does fix.
A little bit.
I think it fixes it a lot of it.
Okay.
I agree with a majority of your points in the theatrical, that it is a bit choppy. The death kind of comes out of nowhere of Clemens.
100% does.
I think if you just take it at that, I think it's a cool, unexpected death of a character that you in no way thought was going out that early, that quick. So it does, from a horror perspective, I think it's a cool death, because you're like, whoa, okay, now anybody could die.
Yes, that's true. I think it's symbolic of what the movie does a lot of, which is like, hey, here's something that's kind of cool, or something that you kind of like. Fuck you, it's over. And they do that. And again, that's fine. I mean, does that add? Yeah.
How much better? So, I think the Clemens death, I think he has to die, because I think to get Ripley to the end where she has to be, and to the next realization that she's going to have that we haven't brought up yet.
Sure.
I think this connection between, because this is a palpable connection. Like, this romance works. Hicks and her in Aliens doesn't work.
No.
This is working. So I think taking this part away from Ripley sets her character up really well for the rest of the movie. Again, I think it's shocking. It basically says anybody can die. And the assembly cut fixes kind of the choppiness of it.
A little bit. It wastes it, in my opinion. Like, this, yes, he has to die. He has to die because, of course, of what's going to eventually happen in the movie. Totally agree with that. But you have this connection. Why don't you have the death mean something? The only callback we get to the entire death is a weird part.
Okay. This is where you're wrong. Because it does mean something. This is the first time that Ripley is in the same room as the alien, and we get the most iconic shot of this movie in this scene. At the end of this scene,
for sure,
the alien side of the face, Ripley looking into camera. It is the single best shot in any alien movie so far that I've seen.
It's great.
It looks unbelievable, and we get the question, why doesn't it kill Ripley?
That part's awesome. I'm just saying,
this scene has to exist for that scene to happen.
Just the way that Clemens dies, so just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Yep, poked a hole in his head. He's done. Moving on. That's what I have issue with. I think that, and then there's just a call where what's his face, where Charles Dutton's character is just like, oh, you missed the dock. And it's like some actually bad dialogue, like someone was looking through the keyholes. But anyways, that's it. They don't talk about it, and so that is my thought. But again, okay, so that's my opinion. The iconic shot, 100%. That's awesome. It's badass.
I want to get that still and put it over your head, so that when I disagree with you, I can look at that instead of your stupid face.
That's totally fine. I love that scene. I love so many parts about this movie. I'm just sad that it doesn't materialize. I'm a defender of the ideas, and I think there could have been something so cool, and it could have been so different. I mean, it is so different than Alien and Aliens, but ultimately, it's just the fact that it turns into what it turns into is disappointing for me, because I do love so much of what potentially could be. That's it. Let's keep going.
Yeah, we could talk about that scene forever. So as the movie moves along, we will move along. They all come together in the mess hall, basically, area. Andrews is barking orders and stuff. Alien comes down from the ceiling. Andrew gets got, and they are now left without a leader. So everyone kind of looks to Dylan to be the leader. Dylan's like, we got Lieutenant, British style, Ripley over here. She's got an actual military title, so she should be the leader. And Ripley kind of, kicks these boys into action. They have this like very flammable goo stuff that I think is off of whatever the methane production or whatever. And they got them in these canisters, and they're painting them all over the walls of the tunnels and stuff like that. They're basically gonna, blow the alien fire style into a specific area, which is that steel door trap area. Get it trapped inside there. This does not go to plan. In the theatrical version, it is very just, haphazard. Somebody drops a spark after getting attacked by the alien onto the goo. It explodes everywhere. 10 people die. They're, figuring it out, and the alien is released as a result of their folly.
Yes. Okay. And I thought this scene is so dumb. It's like, okay, and I know that. So in the assembly cut, we can really quickly do away with it. They eventually find a way to trap the alien, and that ultimately
they do trap the alien.
They do trap the alien, and
even though all of these mistakes happen, it does result
in something
happening. The assembly cut fixes it.
The theatrical cut, it's just like we got to go back to
David Fincher shot the scenes.
Yeah,
they should have been in the movie.
Famously, the studio did the cut they did because they wanted it to be under 2 hours. Anyways, the whole thing, they're painting this with this explosive. There's things that are unclear. I didn't even know that Andrews was the one that died until the second time watching it. I know I have some ADHD, but still, it was just like, that guy's dead now? Okay, cool. Whatever. That's just a note that I made. And then they're painting, and the plan it's kind of unclear. And there is so much of this movie that I think it's so ironic that there's two main parts of this movie where they're like, I don't know, what should we do? Man, I don't know. Really hard. And it's like, and this is happening when these people are struggling to write a script. So how can you say that didn't transpose itself into we got no ideas, or we don't know? And there's this dumb idea about let's paint the stuff with a flammable thing. We'll light the stuff on fire. It's an accident. And this whole scene of fire and death that probably cost a lot of money. And the result is nothing. The result is a couple of the random ass people die, but ultimately this scene, it's a waste of our time. All right. The pushback that I'm going to give is that this particular set piece is just as silly, just as dumb as anything in the middle of Aliens. It just is. And you can, and I even said it at the top of the show here, that the special edition of Aliens with all the added scenes is a well-written movie. And you agree to that. This, if you just put them side by side, they are just as ridiculous and just as silly. The flaw that you're pointing out in Aliens 3 is just an alien movie flaw. Some of the action scenes are goofy, pointless, and lead to nothing because the alien has to out-trick at least their first attempt at, controlling it. Yeah, I think, and also I think the problem too is that does the alien really do anything? I mean, I guess it causes that guy to drop. And again, at first I was like, is that a cigar?
No, it's the sparklers they've been carrying throughout the movie.
And I get it. Second time I was like, okay, I understand. But it was just I don't know. It all seemed like a lot of money on a fire-filled scene that didn't feel like it had a point. I know that some of the stuff in the middle of Aliens isn't necessarily, amazing, but it feels like it doesn't feel you don't. I had a feeling of frustration watching this. I did not have that feeling during Aliens of just like. And I watched, and I'll for those listening, I watched this movie twice in the last like 48 hours, and it was just like, why are we doing this?
I could have watched this movie 8 times in the last 16 hours, and
I love
would
that
have
you love
no
it.
complaints over
I love
it.
that you love it. I love it, and it's so important to have this discussion. I think it's great, and it's going to make for an interesting listen.
I think that, at least in this area, the flaw that you're pointing out is a flaw in at least the last 2 movies, this movie and Aliens. Again, the assembly cut to a certain extent fixes this.
It does.
In that there's
a purpose.
It is successful, and the Golic subplot then ruins it.
Yeah, but it's something. At least there's something that happens
Because
as a
again,
result.
the Golic subplot is the thing that is kind of missing from this movie. That is in the last 2 Alien movies, where there is this kind of devoted believer to the xenomorph.
Super cool.
And I think that has to be in there, and it obviously was supposed to be in there, and it just got cut for length.
And the fact that they take out the whole trapping, because at least if the end of that whole fire scene, if there's at least we can say the conclusion is, okay, we trapped it, as opposed to we did this whole thing. It's like they started to set something up and it just failed. Like that's just stupid.
Yeah, the theatrical does fail in that aspect.
Yeah, it just seems like why is this here? And it gets the monotony of the tunnel thing. Anyways, so
it does. Yes, I will say that I will agree that it adds to the monotonous part of this movie, which is kind of the 30 minutes before the last 10.
Sure, but it does. The assembly cut. It does fix it because we got purpose. We got purpose. So
all right. So now we have to get to the back part of this movie. So I'm gonna hit the highlights really quick, and then we'll go through this like we have for the rest of it. We find out that Ripley has a chest burster inside of her. She does a scan back in her cryo tube. She gets helped out with that. We get a new plan that is hatched by Dylan and Ripley to basically pour hot molten lead after they have captured the alien in the area where they pour the lead over. Yeah. Basically just convoluted machinery stuff.
Sounds like a shitty, boring plot.
But it's exciting when it's happening.
Sure.
It's just weird to explain. Mm-hmm. They are able, after a lot of scenes in tunnels, as Chris has talked about, a lot of running in tunnels, a lot of upside down camera, and the alien is poured. The lead is poured over there. Before that happens, Bishop 2 shows up, who is the human form of the Bishop android, who created the Bishop android in his likeness, and he tries to convince Ripley that they're going to take the chest burster that's inside of her out of her. We also find out that this is not just any chest burster. This is a queen that has been implanted inside of her. Yas Queen, Ripley has the queen inside of her all the time.
Is that why the gestation period is like 8 times as long as any others?
Yeah.
Whatever.
And we are getting subtle hints through the movie before we get the reveal that, like, she's sicker than just this cryo sleep rude awakening.
I love that the symptoms of having a queen alien in you are the same as COVID. It's like, I got a sore throat. I don't know. Just kind of feeling a little lethargic. They're like, oh man, maybe you have an alien in you. Maybe you have COVID.
Maybe you have a being inside of you that is capable of laying thousands of eggs that could destroy all of humanity.
Do you know how they know it's a queen?
So I believe that our boy Geiger specifically created a model that's different than the other chest bursters. So if you know, like, the full lore and you see the image of it inside of her, you can tell that it's different than the other ones.
Right on.
So
That's fine.
They did enough production design to alleviate that.
These are things I'm like, it's fine. I'll go with that. That's fine.
And I mean, the other part of it is that you just trust what the characters in the movie are saying, because they're just, they didn't just tell, then they do tell you that that is the case. So you just have to believe that going forward. The alien is killed, like I said, with lead poisoning and then water. And this series has always been, Chris, about motherhood, and Ripley decides to take her own life in order to destroy the queen growing inside of her. She heroically falls off of a ledge into burning lava.
Jesus Christ pose. As she is falling to her demise. Queen chestburster comes out of her. Ripley grabs it, lays back with her eyes in death, and boom, she has taken care of the problem. It's a big pro-choice movie. Yeah. Hey, I know Fincher's politics. It's okay. It's Hollywood, am I right? All these people. Oh my goodness. But no.
Did you know that in the assembly version,
no chestburster, and it was like this kind of, at the time, revolutionary computer graphics that they used to have her fall into the molten lava below?
I do not know what's revolutionary about it. It was just the way that they shot and styled it, basically, was something that hadn't been previously done before, and then ended up not being in the theatrical version at all because it looked so computer generated that they're like, just make it look like the normal thing before.
Makes the moving alien look good. Also, speaking of done before, can we talk about how awkward it must have been? And again, I don't think that anyone knew this, but then, Terminator 2 comes out the same year. And Terminator dies also by going into molten lava. So 2 movies, they kind of end the same way. Thoughts on that?
So?
Well, it's kind of like, oh, shit. It's, like when Deep Impact...
Didn't Shakespeare say there's nothing new under the sun?
It's like when Deep Impact and Armageddon came out in the same year.
It's not like that at all.
They truly couldn't have known about it. It's just a coincidence that these 2 movies, and it was a Cameron movie, obviously, T2. It's a cool, so let's go back to Just Alien 3. It's a cool ending. I remember that ending.
It's a really cool ending.
I like, there's plenty about this movie that I didn't remember because I hadn't seen it for a long time. Of course, I remember that. And it's and of course, she's the main character. A little production note here. Apparently, they wrote 2 versions of the ending, and the Fox wanted them to have one ending where Ripley did not die. And they wrote it. And then Sigourney Weaver said, I'm only doing the version where I die, because she wanted to get, at least at the time, out of the alien business. And so, yeah, but it's super, that part is really cool.
So this portion of the movie that we're going through also has the single 2 best bits of dialogue in this entire movie. This is like the Helm's Deep speech by Aragorn. This will get you jacked up like no other. We get Ripley first, and then Dylan driving it home to basically get the troops, get the inmates ready for this final maneuver where they're going to capture the alien and then pour the lead over them. We get Ripley. When they first heard about this thing, it was crew expendable. The next time they sent in the Marines, they were expendable too. What makes you think that they're going to care about a bunch of lifers who found God at the ass end of space? You really think they're going to let you interfere with their plans for this thing? They think we're crud, and they don't give a fuck about one friend of yours that's died. Not one. Dylan, we're all going to die. The only question is when. This is as good a place as any for the first steps to heaven. The only question is how you check out. Do you want to go on your feet or on your fucking knees begging? I ain't much for begging. Nobody ever gave me nothing.
There it
So
is.
I say, fuck that thing. Let's fight it. Woo!
Powerful. The ass end of space. I can't. That line is that the ass end of space, and that they think we're crud. I was like, oh my gosh, is this my fourth grade best friend's brother trying to talk shit to me? Like, you're a bunch of crud, dude. And then she says fuck right away. It's definitely a pump up speech, and I think it works a little bit less for me, but it's definitely, they're pumping them up. They're getting ready.
Do you want to go on your feet or on your fucking knees?
No one ever gave me nothing.
Unreal stuff,
Dylan, again, is doing the scared straight thing.
It's great.
Let me
It's
hold
so
your
good.
pocket.
Okay, so Chris, after the speech occurs, there is
Don't you think, hey,
just about 20 minutes of
Newsies,
not good stuff.
but it's like random ass, dirty, bald newsies running through a tunnel. Like, come here, you alien! All right, I know he killed me. Oh, I know he killed me again. Like, it's just like, what the fuck is happening? And it goes on, and it's like, we just did it with the tunnels and the fire. It's like, and again, I think this is, you could say that this Falls Victim, they didn't have a lot of sets. So maybe if they wouldn't be running through tunnels, but also like there's the guy that there's a gentleman that is supposed to start the pistons or something.
Yeah, Morse.
No, it's not. There's a different dude. Morse starts the piston.
Oh, yeah, the I know who you're talking
and I was
about.
like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, he
he's got speaking lines. I'm like, just met this dude.
again in the assembly cut, he is more prominent.
So again, it's just.
But I do like the turn for Morse. I mean, he's been kind of the mouthy inmate guy that's not into anything after the inspirational speech. He's the first one to be like, yeah, let's fucking do it.
He does.
They get him up on that crane thing, and they're like, Morse, you got to pour that lead. And he pours the shit out of that lead, even though he got shot in the leg by the scientists and stuff. And Bishop 2 is just like preaching the gospel of getting this alien back.
Don't do it. Don't you know how much we could learn? No. That part's sweet. The other thing I just wanted to point out quickly is when they communicate to Wayland Yutani. So this is obviously before they come. And before the bishop guy, before human bishop comes, but there's the whole part where they're like, we're just gonna, this thing is in Ripley or something. But anyways, all of a sudden, Wayland Yutani goes from they're like basically leaving him on red all the time, right?
Sure.
Like, that's what we do. All of a sudden, it's like, we'll be there in 2 hours. Did you get this? Did you get this? Did you get this? Did you get this? It's like all of a sudden a controlling boyfriend that's just negging them, and all of a sudden just goes, this is how they can really communicate with you.
But again, it's fixed in the assembly cut. There is a scene in which Ripley is responding back to Wayland Yutanics and basically tricks them into saying that they are there to take the alien off the planet.
Yeah, she also asks them in that scene whether she has permission to kill it, and I'm like, that's not the Ripley I know. She would just, and she does just end up doing it, but I'm like, why are you even asking? But again,
but she's asking so that she knows whether or not they're there to eradicate the alien from her and actually save her, or if they're just there for the alien. Because they don't want her to just kill the alien, she concludes, I gotta take this out myself.
They never change. They never change.
I mean, they're never gonna change.
Nope.
They're a gigantic corporation,
They
Chris.
just want that alien.
They're the real bad guys.
They really are. I always wonder, if they get it, what do they think they're gonna do? But that's a whole nother podcast.
I mean, we've talked about this. We've at least tried to start the discussion of this.
What's the plan?
I don't know.
They got those guys that show up in raincoats and crazy chrome sunglasses, and then one of them has an old school video camera.
He's taking, and then Bishop 2 at one point's like, no video,
no flash photography. It's all bizarre as to what they are ever going to do with this thing that kills on site, but that's okay. Again, we don't need to answer those questions here today. Yeah, so there's a lot of, they're going through the tunnels, again, I saw the when the alien's killing people. I just, anytime that alien is running around, I cringe.
It's not good.
It takes me out. There's a callback to Jonesy, or Jones, as you like to call him, the cat from the first movie, when one of the many bald rapists of women is saying, "Hey, kitty, 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 kitty." And also, again, like, there's so many parts in this movie. There's a line like, "What are we doing with this plan? We're improvising." That I cannot imagine that it's by mistake that a large portion of this movie is people just trying to figure out what to do. And the plans they come up with, they're okay at best. The revolutionary plan they get is the furnace. The furnace. It's like, okay, I guess the furnace.
I mean, are you really improvising if Fincher then makes you improvise 100 more times?
You're not. And again, like, he's great. It's just, the people in charge of the script, people walked off. Fincher walked off. The original producers, that, Luke, you've called them out. They were involved on the
They were just snip, snippy, snip, snippy. Let's just get this thing under 2 hours. Let's not worry about the master that is currently working on this and putting forward something that is a great movie. Even the theatrical cut, I think, is still great. And they just left some stuff on the chopping room floor.
Yeah, no, I think that there was a lot of really cool ideas. Like, I think that if this would have been done correctly, this could have been the best Alien, in my opinion. I personally don't think it's close to that, and it makes me sad to watch it.
So,
yeah.
All right, Chris, you're getting into your final thoughts. I appreciate that. Let's
Sure.
give some awards, and then we'll get into our final concluding thoughts after we give some awards out, because you've been critical, I've been very positive. Let's both join together in harmony and give some positive awards out. Chris, what do you think is the best scene of this movie?
I think it is the initial chest burster out of the dog and or ox.
During the funeral scene? Mm-hmm. I think that's a great pick. My pick is going to be... I have so many. I have so many that I really, really like. I think I fought very hard for the Clemens death scene, and I think I'm going to pick it as my favorite scene. I'm going to technically pick the assembly cut version of that scene, but I think the dialogue in it's great. I love the Clemens backstory. I think it perfectly fits his, like, the character up to that point, gives you a nice little conclusion for him before his untimely death, and then results in that final shot, which again is the single best frame in Alien movie history that I've seen so far.
It's a great frame.
Do you still trust me with a needle?
All right, scene stealing performance. Who do you think, from an actorly perspective, is the best part of this movie?
I will go with Charles Dance.
I'm also going with Charles Dance. Dylan, Charles S. Sutton is He's close second, but I think Dance, from a non-Ripley perspective, I talked about at the top how good I think Sigourney is in this movie.
She's very good.
I think that Charles Dance is unbelievable. Just a, complete creation for this specific movie. I think he is better than any character that's in Aliens. And therefore...
What are you talking about, man?
Sorry, Bill.
Oh man. Game over. Yeah, no, he's awesome. He's always good. He's always
Tywin Lannister himself. But you've never seen that.
No, but he's the bad guy in The Last Action Hero. I have seen that.
All right. Yeah. All right. Who is the MVP of this movie? It can be anybody. Again, It doesn't just have to be an actor.
So I will say, I guess I'm going to say Sigourney Weaver, because it was, it's her and Charles Dance are the things that I think work really well. I mean, you could talk about some of the Fincher set designs. You could talk about the score, because I think those are all really good, the creature design. But Sigourney Weaver had this made. They wouldn't have done this without her. And I mean, yes, she's listed as a co-producer. But, you know, she's the hero. And she is such an amazing character in the history of movies and the history. And she does a great job in this. And she wasn't afraid to get ugly. She wasn't afraid to. No, I mean, that's probably sounds shitty, but you know,
no, I think that's completely true, and I think it's very fair to. I mean, she's obviously not ugly.
No, not at all.
But she did get ugly for this. She shaved her head.
Yeah, and in the part in the beginning where she's got the red eye, she's all bruised up. I mean, I'm getting Charlize Theron in Monster vibes, right? A little bit, maybe not quite as bad, but. Again,
Fury Road.
Charlize looks good in Fury Road.
Has a shaved head.
I'm into robotic arms.
Yeah. What could she do with that arm?
Oh my God! Don't look at my search history. So it's just, but no. So it's her. She got it made. She does awesome things. She says that. So David Fincher. She said the time. So she was 42 when this was made. He was 28. They were in a production meeting and he wasn't saying much of anything. And she said, well, what are your ideas for Ripley? And he said, well, she should be bald. And she was like, I love that idea. And she's like, and that's when I fell in love with David Fincher. And just going to show, like, that's what they were willing. They wanted to go places. They wanted this to be something more than Aliens, or they wanted to do something, I mean, I don't know if you want to say prolific or something really cool and different. I think that they scratched the surface of that so many times, and that's, you know, that's yet just my opinion. So Sigourney is my MVP.
You've been in my life so long, I can't remember anything else.
My MVP is the one and only David Fincher.
The Finch Man! He just called and he said you can't say that.
I'm sorry, David. You don't have to listen. You won't listen to this. But I rightly should be accused of my biases, and I'll lay them out. I do not like James Cameron.
He's a Finch freak, though.
I like Ridley Scott. I love David Fincher.
Uh-huh.
I love almost every single David Fincher movie. Benjamin Button.
Not so much? Okay.
But going into this movie, I had obviously never seen it before. I knew the Fincher lore behind it. Again, being a huge Fincher fan, I believe this ticks off. I've now seen every Fincher movie now because I had saved Alien 3.
Okay.
I think this is, again, like I said, a worthy entry into his catalog. He may hate it. Most artists hate their work. I think this is a worthy David Fincher movie. It has his fingerprints all over it, like you said, with the set design, the stuff that he had control over is very good in this movie. Even the stuff that he doesn't have control over, like the dialogue, he makes interesting with the camera angles, the way that it's shot, keeps everything interesting with the camera. And just the fact that when you bring the assembly cut into it, I know that he wasn't involved in the cut of that, but you can be led to believe that he would have cut it similarly.
Yeah, it's supposedly what he wanted, more or less.
And that version of this movie adds so much more depth to it, like the special edition of Aliens, that, you know, it's just a great David Fincher movie that also is a great Alien movie. And I think, again, my issues with Aliens is that it doesn't have the same tone and vibe and characters that I like in the movie Alien, which I think is a masterpiece. Do I think Alien 3 is a masterpiece? No. But I love this movie. I like it more than Aliens. I mean, it's going to give away what my score of this eventually will be. But I think having heard all of this negative talk about Alien 3 for most of my movie-loving life, to finally watch it and to get to the end of it and be like, what are they talking about? It's not only just fine, which I would have been very okay with coming to the end of this and being like, oh, that was kind of silly that they thought it was that bad. Like, this is fine. I think it's good. And, you know, I went to bat for it as much as I could during this pod. Hopefully my arguments made some sense.
I think they did.
I purposely wore a cutoff shirt in order to intimidate Chris into thinking that my ideas mean more than they probably actually do at their face value.
He shaved his head too.
Yeah. No more fleas for me.
Yeah.
Lice. I like fleas better. I think, again, MVP David Fincher. Chris, let's wrap up your thoughts on Alien 3.
Sure, but before, if we're talking about the bald situation, I have to mention my last fun fact about production, which is that they had to do reshoots for this movie. It ended up being very expensive, and Sigourney Weaver had a clause in her contract saying that if she had to keep shaving her head after a certain date, they would pay her $40 million, and that time happened. So what do you think they did? Do you think they shaved her head?
No, they created the most expensive bald cap ever to that point. It was like
16 million.
I heard 18, but yeah, $16 million.
That's just great. Yeah. So they saved a little money, and apparently it was horrible to make and all that. But okay, so back to my thoughts. So, you know, as we're talking about this, I think there's parts, this was the introduction for me as a young movie lover that was very intrigued by, you know, the dark things. I was a kid that got into grunge at an early age, and like I said, you know, this set looked like it could be the location for a Nine Inch Nails video, and all that stuff was very intriguing to me. That scene where they're saying, you know, the prayer and the funeral, and it's simultaneously cut with and the one I've seen growing up, the dog chest burster. That's so, again, like I said, so fucked up, dark. That's very memorable to me. That sticks with me. The Ripley death scene sticks with me more than anything in Aliens. So there you go. I'll hit that your way. I mean, it's very memorable, and I think it gets into some really interesting stuff. Some of the tone that it has at certain points, the hard horror tone, is really cool and scary. But watching the full thing, I'm sad. When I see the puppet alien move, I'm sad. When I see the countless characters that are almost the exact same running through tunnels over and over, and this business with candles, and this business with these plans that don't really make any sense or amount to anything, I'm sad. So while I think that this has some amazing sequences, and it has, and the lore about the script with the wooden planet, that's so fucking cool. So I love parts of this movie, but the finished product, you know, it just doesn't deliver what I think could have been, and so I'm going to give it a 6.8.
Wow. All right. I think you are, in the parlance of an old English way of saying this, missing the woods for the trees. You're a little bit too much on the detail. I think that a lot of the flaws that you're pointing out are also flaws in both Aliens, some of the last 20 minutes of Alien. I think there's a lot of plot contrivances that are very just similar throughout the movies. I think it's just an Alien problem if you have a problem with that. I think that Fincher takes this in a direction. I think it's a worthy sequel to Alien. I think it's probably a bad sequel to Aliens. Is probably what the main flaw of it is that movie comes in the middle of these two. Do you agree with that?
It's super tonally different, but that's what we will come to see. Yes. So just a short answer, yeah, it is, and it's very, very different, and I like the tone that it tries to achieve, and I think that tone is awesome and in congruence with Alien.
Yeah, and I mean, I gave a lot of my thoughts when I was going on about Fincher, about what I think about this movie, so I'll just wrap mine up with, I think this is a solid, rounded 8.0.
All right. Hey, I love that. I love, and this, you know, like...
Again, I will give both the theatrical and the assembly cut an 8.0, so I don't have to go back the next podcast and give the assembly a grade. I think that because the assembly is, 11 years later, it's not actually Fincher's cut. He doesn't have creative control over it. I can't give it the same boost as, I can give Jim Cameron for him having, basically control over the special edition too, and making a better movie out of it as a result. The assembly, I think, fixes a lot of errors. It also adds 30 minutes to the movie.
It adds some horrible scenes too.
Yeah, it adds some stuff that doesn't need to be in there. But again, I think the theatrical is just fine. I think that the assembly does add parts that I really like. Because of that, I won't grade them separately. I'll treat them as two parts of the same whole. Give it an 8.0.
All right.
All right, so the next movie that we are going to be covering is Alien Resurrection, 1997, director Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Yeah.
Chris, what was your initial reaction to seeing this movie? Because obviously I haven't seen it.
I was in 8th grade, I think, when I saw it on home video from Blockbuster, and it's not good. It's just, while I had a lot of feelings about Alien 3, and I still do, I don't have very mixed feelings about this one. It's just not great.
All right, prepare for me to love this movie more than Aliens and potentially Alien 3, although I don't think so. I think Alien 3 is going to end up, when we get to the end of this franchise, being kind of my movie of this series. I don't know how much more I can say about just how grateful I am to have seen this movie at the time that I did, and to, just be able to brush aside the haters.
Brush them aside. I mean, for me, I look at this kind of like the band Pavement when I was growing up, or like skating. I thought it looked cool, and there was a lot of cool aspects of it, but when I really, really sat down with it, it just didn't totally connect for me. But that is just my experience. It left me feeling frustrated, as opposed to the other ones that didn't leave me feeling frustrated. And I think, but that being said, I think it's because there's such promise and there's such cool stuff happening that I love. So there you go. To truly love something, Chris, you must first be capable of hating it. There you go. And I mean, I hope that you continue to watch this movie, continue to struggle with it, and then eventually end up loving it as I do. Well, one can only hope. I mean, I guess to a certain extent, fresh eyes are needed in order to appreciate the majesty that is Alien 3. Maybe after a long cryo nap. Ooh. Yeah, but it's gonna be a while. Can we also talk about how these aliens just keep getting into these ships? They are sneaky little bastards. Yeah, I mean that's also an interesting plot hole. It makes why there's eggs that opened up. We should just add a nitpick session to the end of this, because it makes no sense how the Queen impregnated Ripley with the Queen new spawn. Like, yep, there is not a part in Aliens where she is hit with any part of the Queen. It's supposed to happen in the ship. I understand that, because Bishop kind of goes through that, but and there's also in the assembly cut they straight up call it rape, that the alien raped or molested Ripley on the ship and all that weird sexual stuff that doesn't need to be involved in it at all, but Yeah, and
they
also
do.
in the intro in the assembly cut, they clearly show a face hugger on a face, which so you have to, if you put two and two together, you pretty much figure out, oh, that it kind of gives that part away if you've seen it before at least.
It's tough. We've also said the R word more times than I've ever needed to say in a thing that is recorded of me.
Trigger warning. Well, so I mean, yeah, there's definitely, again, if I'm ultimately going for, I mean, I've said my gripes, the things that ruin it for me, and that's the alien puppets, special effects, the tunnel.
The tunnel scenes are bad. I'll come off my high horse and
It's
admit
just so
that
long.
It's bad. But your note about it being basically the only set they have to work with at the end,
Yeah.
like, it's a constraint that ruins the movie in that area, but there's not much more you can do. Like,
Up until,
if the lords of the production are telling you there's no more budget, then there's no more budget.
Sure. And I mean, it just goes to, like, I think there could have been so many cool things with this, and ultimately just because of a lot of factors out of people that were, I don't know, out of a lot of individual people's control, this is just the end product, and you have something really promising that just unfortunately it didn't turn out for me. A lot of cool stuff, but the whole middle, really, it just is like, what happens, what goes down, and my answer is not a lot. And then we have to see the dog alien run, and I shed a couple of tears. But I do think, to end it on a positive, what works is after Ripley goes into the lava, I think they're trying to shut down the whole series, and they just kind of like have a number of doors close and kind of some finality. And then it ends with the broadcast of Ripley from the first movie.
Yep.
So I think that does a nice job of like, all right, we're shutting down the trilogy.
Full circle.
Yeah, and I like that. So I'm going to end it with something positive.
Way to go, Chris.
All right.
That was Alien 3.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Franchise.